changing your life one story at a time. This is the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast with Editor-in-Chief Amy Newmark.
Hey, it's Amy Newmark with your daily dose of Chicken Soup for the Soul inspiration. It's Motivational Monday, and today I'm going to share a story that I think will give you a new perspective on how to put some fun in your life. Sometimes you have to throw caution to the wind and treat yourself to something fun and different, even something a little scary. Because that's what adds spice to your life, and it keeps you young and it keeps your brain active. So when I read a story called The Muscle Car by Janet Bauer, I totally understood. We published her story in Chicken Soup for the Soul, Time to Thrive, which is filled with stories about people figuring out all those little ways to enjoy their time more, to fulfill their desires, and to live happier. So here's what happened to Janet. Her car was damaged by a valet service, and it had to go to the body shop. She had to rent a car for 5 days, and even though she and her husband were in their 70s, she figured, why not? And she rented a Camaro. It's obvious why Janet and Bob had already been married for 46 years at that time. This is a couple that knows how to have fun. Janet asked Enterprise Rent-A-Car if they had a black Camaro with red flames trimmed with gold on the hood, but she had to settle just for a plain black Camaro. Nevertheless, it was a Camaro, and they were going to have a blast. That is, after they figured out how to maneuver their rather inflexible bodies under the rather low roof into those rather narrow seats. And then their next challenge was how to close those giant doors, which Janet said required them to have 7-foot-long arms. But then they were finally in the car, and they were off. And Janet says, by driving fast, we managed to look almost like we belonged in a Camaro. By the time admiring observers realized how old we were gone. So Bob and Janet drove all over their local area, San Diego County, which is huge. It's about the size of my little state of Connecticut. They drove in the mountains, which are more than 6,000 feet high, and they drove along the shimmering beaches of Coronado and La Jolla. As they drove up a mountain road the first day, passing stands of pine trees, farms, and cattle, that muscle car clung to the curves, and they felt its power as it devoured those steep hills like they weren't even there. The car was just as much fun when they purred through downtown La Jolla and San Diego, even when they got lost. Janet and Bob drove everywhere, and they also visited numerous well-known restaurants and shopped, too, in their black Camaro. George Bernard Shaw said, "We don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing." So that 70-plus couple had quite an adventure, all because they took the opportunity to tweak that rental car a bit. They needed to get a rental car anyway, so why not make it something special? Janet says they had, quote, the fun, excitement, and challenge that two elderly, long-married people can have, but seldom do. There are always routines and schedules, but there are also new opportunities. When those opportunities arise, take them at any age. I talk about Janet and her husband and their Camaro in my new book, Simply Happy, because I love these simple tips that are easy to implement and fun and so reasonable, even though no one would think of it, and I applaud the Bauers for doing so. What better opportunity to do something a little wild than to turn the loaner car into a fun experience for a week? It's a great idea, and I'm definitely going to try to remember this the next time that I need to get a loaner car. So tomorrow is Tip Tuesday, and I'm going to share a story that goes in a different direction. It's about an approach to bullying in the workplace, and it contains some great advice for anyone who has to deal with a difficult coworker. I'm Amy Newmark. Thank you for listening to the Chicken Soup for the Soul podcast today. I hope you'll make my producers happy and give us a review on the iTunes page. And if you'd like to read more simple tips about how to be happier, please check out our Time to Thrive book and my new Simply Happy book on our website, chickensoup.com.